UFC Fight Night San Diego, Vera versus Cruz just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelim opener of Youssef Zalal versus Blackshear. Decent fight to start off the card, nothing too special, but in the third round it got very interesting. Youssef Zalal won the third round by 10-8 round. He was dominating Blackshear, landing good shots on the feet, landing good shots in ground and pound as well. It wasn't utter domination in the third round, but he was winning it very, very clearly and dominating it enough to make it clear that it was a 10-8 round. So I don't mind a draw. I don't mind giving this to Youssef Zalal. I feel like in round 2, which I just watched back, by the way, because I wasn't really paying too much attention to this one. I was trying to get my live stream working at the time. But I feel like in round 2, you can give it to Youssef Zalal. Both guys were having moments, but I feel like Zalal was a little bit busier in the clinch with the total strikes, so I usually like to lean that way. But round 1 was Blackshear. But Blackshear looked okay on short notice in his debut. Maybe on a full camp, he wouldn't have slowed down as much in that third round. But Youssef Zalal, Blackshear, a draw. Whatever. We move on. Up the card, Josh Quinland versus Jason Witt. Immediately into the first round, Josh Quinland lands a left hook straight on the jaw of Jason Witt. Both guys have some, little feeling out processes. Quinlan lands a leg kick, I believe, early on and lands a shot to the face. And then Jason Witt goes to the body and all of a sudden, boom, left hook, square on the chin, right on the face of Jason Witt. Down he goes. Josh Quinlan gets a big first round finish and doesn't throw follow-up shots. So good for him. Josh Quinlan showed a bit of good takedown defense, I guess you could say, because Witt got him down and Quinlan worked his way back up quite easily. So Quinlan looked good. Got a first round finish. He's on the sauce, but the UFC completely allow that for whoever they want to allow it for nowadays. And Josh Quinlan's a future decent name that they can promote and get behind. So good win from Josh Quinlan. He gets the job done by left hook KO in the first round. Moving on. Up the card, Tyson Nam versus Ode Osbourne. Amazing performance by Tyson Nam. He gets it done over Ode Osbourne. I do want to say this. DC got a lot of hatred for his take of Ode Osbourne is winning. Ode Osbourne's winning right now. Nam needs to do more. And then the comment... listen, Bisping and DC, Bisping's ego is massive. DC's got a bit of one as well. But Bisping can't let... he's such a confrontational person that sometimes they clash on commentary. I feel like DC and Bisping are like the worst duo to have, in all honesty, because there's nothing you want less than just people bickering and arguing on the commentary quite a bit. But Bisping was literally laughing at DC in the middle of the KO finish. So, start announcing the KO finish and how good it is and give us a line of promo. Don't laugh over the top of Fitzgerald trying to give us a one-liner like John Anik would. It's just silly to me. But either way, Ode Osbourne was winning over Tyson Nam, I believed. I watched the fight. I was watching it live. Ode Osbourne was ahead. It's bad timing and people are going to hate on DC for being biased and actively scoring fights. And he was clearly ahead of Tyson Nam. Tyson Nam needed to play a bit of catch-up towards the end of round 1, and DC was just saying that. Should you say that in the middle of rounds all the time? No, but he was right until Tyson Nam landed that massive punch right on the face of Ode Osbourne, followed up afterwards, and Ode Osbourne went out badly. Man, some of these flyweights have some big knockout power. It's crazy. So Tyson Nam, amazing performance. He got a performance bonus as well, so good for him, and we'll see what he can do moving forward. Moving on, up the card. Gabriel Benitez versus Charlie Ontiveros. I went with Gabriel Benitez by first round TKO or second round TKO, I believe I said. I said Ontiveros was going to give him some problems early on, but then eventually Benitez would overcome that and take over. And that's exactly what happened. Ontiveros landed a couple of shots, a couple axe kicks, a couple spinning stuff, head kicks here and there, but that's all he does. And eventually it becomes not so much of a surprise anymore, and people can start to make those reads and understand his timing and get used to some of the crazy stuff that he goes for. He was landing some good kicks. The commentary were ripping him apart about having a bad style and you need to put your hands up, like they'd ever say that's a wonder boy. But yeah, Charlie Ontiveros tried to land some decent shots, but eventually Gabriel Benitez started to put some pressure on him, landed some good shots of his own on Ontiveros, and eventually got a takedown, ended up on top and just started dominating from there. So good job Gabriel Benitez, found his way into a dominant position on the ground and got the job done. Full mount TKO to ground and pound. Gabriel Benitez gets it done. Amazing performance from him. Moving on. Up the card, Nina Nunes versus Cynthia Calvillo. Women's MMA fight. Terrible. First 2 rounds, absolutely appalling. Terrible. Nina Nunes won the first 2 rounds, I guess, but the strike numbers on the recount were pretty even, but I guess Nina Nunes landed the better shots in round 1, better shots in round 3, and more of the shots in round 3 as well, but round 3 even says Cynthia Calvillo landed more than Nina Nunes, so it's weird on the recount of the stats. It was a split decision, but Nina Nunes, I think, won the fight. She landed the better shots in round 3, whereas Calvillo's ones didn't really seem to do anything. She was just sort of flailing her arms out there like she has no idea what she's doing. Round 1, Nina Nunes. Round 2, Cynthia Calvillo got a takedown at the end and won that round. I think she got 2 takedowns in round 2 as well, so yeah, not good enough for Cynthia Calvillo. I picked her to win. Nina Nunes gets it done and retires, so happy retirement to her. Have some more kids, she says. Moving on. Up the card to another fight. Martin Buday versus Lukasz Brzeski. Under the radar robbery. Brzeski won every single round. I really feel bad for him. He was robbed of that so badly. And people aren't even mentioning it right now. It was such a bad robbery. I honestly believe one of the worst of all time. It's up there. And it's not going to get that level of attention. People are going to brush over this. He clearly won the first. He clearly won the second. So no matter what, 29-28 Brzeski, I get the third round was more competitive, but he won the third round as well, in my opinion. Clear win for Lukasz Brzeski. Clear Brzeski, whatever his name is. He clearly won that fight over Martin Buday. I genuinely have no idea how a judge or 2 judges can score that fight to Martin Buday. Either of the first 2 rounds. He was completely out-volumed, completely out-damaged. I actually am in disbelief that they didn't give him the win. But whatever, I guess. That is just so terrible, though. Brzeski won. I was wrong about Buday. Brzeski's weirdly strong. He was able to shake himself away from the clinch against the cage and make stuff work there. High pace. He tried so hard for that win, and they just took it from him. And it's not going to get enough attention, and it hurts me. Moving on to another fight up the card. Angela Hill versus Lupita Godinez. I could have seen either girl winning. Angela Hill won the third round, maybe, I guess, because she landed a big shot at the end. I think if Lupita got a takedown at the end of the third, it would have secured the fight for her as well. But yeah, Angela Hill 29-28. First round, Lupita Godinez pretty clear. Round 2, Angela Hill started to take over a bit more. Round 1 could have even gone Angela Hill's way, but Lupita landed a lot more shots early on, so I guess she takes the round because of that. And then round 3, Angela Hill started landing some better shots. Lupita just wouldn't shoot again. That was the problem with Lupita Godinez. She would try a takedown. She is the grappler. I don't get women's MMA. And now we have Angela Hill here again. And respect to her because she won against a tough prospect. But women's MMA is just so confusing to me. This was a fun fight. Decently entertaining scrap. They both looked technically good. Lupita had good boxing especially. But she was a little bit outmatched in the range and stuff like that. But She has such a long history of grappling. Angela Hill shot more takedowns than her. Double the takedowns. She shot 6. Lupita shot 3. And when she shot these takedowns, if she didn't get it, she would never do it again for the rest of the round. Mix it up. I don't get it. But Angela Hill wins. Lupita shows 0 IQ. And I don't know what I'm going to do about the sport of women's MMA. Moving on. Gerald Meerschaert versus Bruno Silva. Right, well, I said the lock of the card was Bruno Silva. I didn't realise he had been severely beaten and also satiated with alcohol before the fight because he was drunk out there. And I don't know what's going on with his stand-up, but he was messy. And Gerald Meerschaert did good. I think a lot of it had to do with like the body kicks of Gerald Meerschaert, maybe taking more out of Bruno Silva than maybe we originally considered because he did land a lot of good body kicks, hard body kicks. But yeah, round 1, Gerald Meerschaert. Round 2, Gerald Meerschaert. Round 1 was close. Arguably could go Bruno Silva's way, but Meerschaert gets a takedown at the end and secures that round for himself. Round 2, similar, but this time Meerschaert just straight up outstrikes Bruno Silva. And that happens. Good for Meerschaert. Neither of them looked good, I'll be honest. I'm not just saying this because I'm salty. Neither of them looked like good fighters, but this is UFC middleweight division. They both looked drunk, sloppy. It was an extremely slow pace. 12-10 in the first, and 19-12 in the second, and they were exhausted. Like, it's a joke how out of condition they were. And then round 3, 15-7, to Meerschaert, he lands a left hook in the middle of an exchange, puts down Bruno Silva. And Bruno Silva, man, just overswinging his shot. He looked good against Pereira. Like, crisp, and not just, I'm not saying, Pereira's not that good. Like, he looked switched on, crisp combos, tight technique, jabs, follows it up, head movement on the inside. I guess the threat of the takedown just absolutely bewildered him in this matchup, and that's just the case sometimes with these strikers. He was swinging like an absolute maniac, and he deserves to lose. GM3 gets it done, 3rd round sub. Moving on. Up the card, Priscila Cachoeira versus Ariane Lipski. I picked Lipski, unfortunately. I didn't realise. I should have seen the pictures a bit more and noticed that Cachoeira was more lesbian than Lipski, and she got it done because of that. You know what I mean? More manly, more lesbian. Jesus. Came out there, dominated Lipski, landed a couple of shots early on. Lipski landed a couple back, and then she got clipped with a big shot that hurt her, and then Lipski started to just trade. Like, literally like the female Derek Brunson. Throwing shots, standing on the spot, trying to get some respect back, and she ended up getting clipped with some more big shots. So down she went, and a 1st round finish for Priscila Cachoeira was in order. I love that translator. He puts in the effort every single time. Moving on. Up the card, Azamat Murzakanov versus Devin Clark. Okay, we can talk about this. Round 1, I gave to Azamat Murzakanov. Very close round. I loved this guy's performance. Literally like heavyweight Piotr Jan, I believe. I loved his performance. Loved his performance this weekend. It is absolutely amazing to me. He had like a... trying to think what hand it was that he kept throwing, but I think it might have been like a straight left hand he kept landing, or a straight right hand, whatever it was. He kept landing, I believe, a straight right hand on Devin Clark. No, it was a straight left. I think it was a straight left hand. Straight left hand on Devin Clark. He kept landing it over the top of the shots, over the top of Devin Clark's jab. Devin Clark would go for like a little tapping leg kick, and then over the top would come that left hand, straight down the pipe sometimes as well, and he would crack Devin Clark quite often with it. And you can just see that Devin Clark immediately into the fight was kind of like, I don't like the power. I really don't like the power here, and I'm worried about it. And that was the sort of mindset that he had going into the 2nd and 3rd round. However, at the end of the 1st, Devin Clark landed a big head kick, and it wobbled Azamat, and Azamat had to sort of clinch up and survive the rest of the round. But round 2 and 3, my word, Azamat absolutely folded this man around the octagon. Body shots, head shots, rocked him multiple times, chasing him down as well, as Devin Clark's like literally running away from him after taking some of those shots. Vicious beating from Azamat Murzakanov, landing big shots on the ground, winning some positions there. Devin Clark was tough to stay in the fight and still land a couple of leg kicks here and there and a couple of punches to keep Azamat a little bit humble and not really get the finish too early. But eventually in the 3rd round, you could just see Devin Clark, every time he took one of those shots, his recovery time from taking the shot got a little bit worse. And eventually his body language started to change. He started to shell up a little bit more after getting hit by them. More shots would land from Azamat Murzakanov. Eventually, he was so focused on not getting hit in the face. He got hit, started to cover up his face. Then the next time Murzakanov went in, he whipped around a brutal left hook to the body. Down goes Devin Clark. Amazing finish. Late stoppage from the referee. He needed to jump in a little bit longer, Frank Trigg. But either way, Azamat Murzakanov, amazing performance. Stalked him down, beat him up. This guy's a future contender at light heavyweight. Moving on. Up the card to another fight, which was Yasmin Jauregui versus Yasmin Lucindo. Good performance by Yasmin Jauregui. Very good performance from her. She got the job done, I believe, in rounds 1, 2, and 3, potentially, but I clearly gave her 2 of the rounds. I believe 2 and 3 I gave her the rounds. Round 1 was quite close, but I thought she landed the better shots in rounds 2 and 3. A lot of shots from Lucindo were landing on the guard, so I was worried that maybe a referee would give a wrong decision there and mess it up, and they didn't. They were good, and Jauregui was landing great leg kicks, great combinations. She actually looked like a capable technical fighter, and I respect her for that, because you don't see it often, so respect to her. Great technique shown. She has a really tidy left hook that she kept landing on Lucinda over and over again. She has really good elbow work in the clinch as well. She kept framing off and tucking in some really tight elbows like Leon Edwards does. Speaking of which, we'll be doing the predictions for that tomorrow. But yeah, Yasmin Jauregui, very good performance. And yeah, could be looking at a new name in the women's strawweight division. Very, very capable fighter. Very technical as well. Moving on up the card. Nate Landwehr versus David Onama. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Nate Landwehr pulls off the upset against David Onama, but he doesn't just pull off the upset. He becomes a star overnight. I can't wait to see this guy every time. I was saying that in the build-up as well. Like, I actually said, I forgot about the crowd. I kind of want to change my pick to Landwehr because he plays off the crowd and it makes him a better fighter. I didn't know how right I would have been if I would have switched my pick. He loves the crowd. He was beckoning them. He could have finished Onama, I'm not even exaggerating here, on 6 occasions. That's not an over-exaggeration. Over a handful of times. He could have finished David Onama, and he genuinely just said, no, let the crowd have more fun. And it almost cost him the entire fight. I'm telling you right now, this could have been a draw, but it wasn't. It wasn't a draw, let's be real. But I wouldn't be surprised if judges gave it that, and one judge did. So Nate Landwehr played a very risky game for himself. Onama could never win. The first round, he landed more shots and he knocked down Nate Landwehr, but he didn't do enough ground and pound, and he didn't beat up Landwehr enough for it to be a 10-8 round, but he won the round 10-9 outside of that big moment for him, where he had a little bit of a moment. It wouldn't be a 10-8, so it was a pretty competitive round in round 1 until Nate Landwehr got dropped. But yeah, he actually put Nate Landwehr out cold in the first round. That was my prediction. First round KO for David Onama. And Nate Landwehr, Colby Covington style, switched off, springed back on. All of a sudden, he's back in it again. Round 2, he starts dominating Onama, landing better shots in the clinch. Onama starts slowing down. That explosivity costs, and Nate Landwehr knew that, but I think Nate Landwehr was still like semi-concussed in the later rounds, so he wasn't able to perform to his best ability in some of his decision-making and stuff like that. So he was kneeing Onama against a cage, punching him in the clinch as well, still taking big shots, but just beating up Onama in the second round. He was starting to let him back up and like beckon to the crowd to get loud and all that type of stuff, and he even at one point started doing this to Onama was shelling up against a cage. Nate Landwehr could have ripped one heavy body shot and finished him on the liver, but instead he goes and just starts like playing drums on his head with little shots with like the open palm. Like, this guy's weirdly entertaining, and I love it. He's never going to be a champion, but I'll watch he's like the new Mike Perry, and I can't wait to see what he does moving forward in his career. And his post-fight interview was amazing as well. But in round 3, let's talk about round 3. Round 1, 10-9 Onama. Round 2, 10-8 Nate Landwehr, beating up Onama the whole time. Trying for submission attempts as well that you couldn't quite find, like dash chokes and stuff like that, and even some rear naked attempts. But round 3, he's hurting Onama all over the place. There was no knockdown scored for Nate Landwehr, but it's kind of like an Aldo Rob Font knockdown or a Vera Rob Font knockdown, where he hurt Onama and Onama sort of like stumbled to the ground after the shot. So they were damaging knockdowny blows. But yeah, Nate Landwehr smacking up Onama in the third, taking some big shots, getting rocked here and there, being a bit silly, and just standing there with his hands down, asking to be KO'd, basically. But he kept it coming, kept the pressure on, kept the knees coming in the clinch. Onama's got a hell of a chin. He was completely exhausted, but he kept taking big shots. And then Nate the Train is in side control with about 40 seconds left of the third round. He's won the whole round. If he just ground and pounds till the end, it's a 10-8 round again, probably. Okay? He starts landing some little shots, and he goes, 35, 40 seconds. I'll just let him back up. And he lets him back up in the third, turns his back on Onama, and starts going, yeah, to the crowd. And Onama's behind him, and actually, respect to Onama, because it would have been a cheap way to win. But I would have done it if I was losing. Onama literally went, he was behind him, and he went, like, faked him out. Like, dude, I could have fucking slept you right there from behind. Focus on the fight and goes, I could have slept you, but I didn't. Because I'm respectful, I guess. Because Nate Landwehr was just ignoring his existence at one point, walking around the cage, flexing at the cameras, and craziness, man. And then eventually at the end, Nate Landwehr is still talking to him and flexing at him and, like, hands down by his side, landing decent shots here and there. And he gets clipped and hurt and stumbles backwards into the cage, falls down to the ground, shoots a single leg, and the fight ends. And Landwehr's been rocked to the canvas, but he wins the third round anyway. But risky scoring. Landwehr played a very risky game there. Like and subscribe. No, main event. Great co-main, though. I'm glad they both won 50k. They deserve more. Marlon Vera versus Dominick Cruz. Oh, Nate Landwehr on the microphone, sorry. Amazing, Nate Landwehr on the microphone. I loved every moment of it. Mama don't raise no bait. Nate the Train in the UFC. I love Nate the Train. Every post-fight interview is going to be an absolute gem from now on, I know it. Moving on. Marlon Vera versus Dominick Cruz. Dominick Cruz looks absolutely amazing. He looked like he'd reborn himself to become a bantamweight world champion again. He was aggressive. He just does not have power in his hands. And I think that's the main takeaway that I had from it. Like, this guy just does not have the ability to KO his opponent. And Vera does, and he has it in spades. And he kept landing big shots over and over again. Kept rocking Dominick Cruz with those big shots. Knocking him off balance in round 1, but they still gave round 1 to Cruz because he dominated the round outside of that one moment from Vera. And then round 2, Cruz wins it very greatly. He gets takedowns. He got a takedown in round 1. He was landing great body shots, good leg kicks, good head shots as well on Marlon Vera. But again, Vera just ignores all of it. Even stumbles Cruz with a shot there as well. Round 3, after I think it was 2-0 to Cruz on all the judges' scorecards, Vera starts making it more competitive, actually starts landing shots in the middle of the round, not just at the end of the round with one shot that does something. And then eventually he lands like a good 1-2 that stumbles Cruz. A jab puts him down as well. And it was just tough. Tough for Dominick Cruz. Maybe the jab that put him down was in round 4 or something like that. But it was just tough for Dominick Cruz, man. He couldn't get a break. He kept doing good. Oh, and then all of a sudden he's knocked down or he's hurt. And it's just Vera's power's too much. He's too durable as well. Massive guy for the division. Problem for anyone in a 5-rounder, because if you can't finish him, he'll put you through a lot of damage in that fight. You better be prepared. You got to be Piotr Jan to beat him. I genuinely believe that. Or a Sandhagen, maybe. That next level savage toughness. So we'll see how it goes with Marlon Vera moving forward. He eventually times Cruz with a head kick. I'll say this again. I said in my prediction video that Marlon Vera would win in the 4th round. He did. I said he would win it by submission. But I said I could see the shot that he knocks down Cruz with being a head kick after some punches in an exchange. Because Cruz kept throwing punches and sloppily leaving the exchange. And just sort of like leaning his way out of the exchange. And he kept doing that. And eventually, he does it a lot anyway. But eventually, Vera landed that head kick on his way out. TJ tried to land it a lot, but Vera just whips it up there, whereas TJ has to do a little fucking queer setup for it every single time, like a little step head kick, and he has to dip his head all the way. Like, Dillashaw has to do everything so perfectly that it was never landing on Cruz. So Cruz kept seeing it coming. But with Vera, he just smashes the head kick up there. So it landed, it broke Cruz's nose, put him away. Amazing performance by Marlon Vera. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.